Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston, and this is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. And going to bring you a kind of a little different version. We've been talking a lot about weight loss lately and a lot of longevity aspects, but I am going to bring something in today that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and we'll talk about chronic pain. Now, we'll take a stroke now with Brandon Day, who is joining me, a fantastic guy who's put together quite a lovely program. And I'm going to let you tell us about that, Brandon. You are an All-American linebacker and have a great history in football. Have a fantastic picture on Sports Illustrated on the cover, which will probably be your photo that goes on the website instead of your face shot. Kidding. I love it though, but it's fantastic. But you have such a unique and interesting story. Please welcome in. Tell us a little bit about you and what you are doing.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. P. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you.
My story is unique. And I think that, it was, for better or worse, it was a quite circuitous route to get to where I am. I decided early on when I was a young man that I didn't want to follow any traditional path. Maybe that's just the rebel nature that I have, but also coming from a family of entrepreneurs and business owners. I think that played into it a little bit. But
very good.
Anyway, yeah, I come from a very athletic background. I have a few current professional snow skiers in my family. I have an aunt and uncle that were both alternates on the U.S. Olympic gymnastics team back in the 80s. I come from quite a family of athletes, and so that's new growing up. I played every sport that I could. I was a pretty large human relative to the rest of my family that are, gymnasts and skiers. So at 6 foot in high school, I played more basketball, football, and track and baseball, and I really excelled at football, so I chose to play football in college. I loved the sport. Yes. And I had a pretty fantastic career. And, the choice to play where I did is an interesting story in itself. But I went to a small Catholic college called Carroll College in Helena, Montana.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from. I went to high school there. Some people wonder why I would stay in my hometown to go to college. At a school that was smaller than my high school, by the way. It was only about 1,200 students.
Wow.
Our football team made up 10% of the population. And I had offers to play at much bigger schools, D1 schools, Oregon, UCLA, Arizona State. Some of these places had given me offers to come play. And long story short, I chose Carroll College because of the character of the players and the coach. And it was kind of an intuitive decision, and it was, maybe one of the better decisions of my life because we had an incredible career. I mean, when I started going there, we were my true freshman year, we won the 4th in a row national championship.
Wow.
And this is the NCAA. Yeah. So we kind of get lumped in with Division II in the NCAA as far as All-Americans and level of competition.
Very good.
But in my time there, I got to play in 3 national championships. We won 2 of them. I was the captain of the team my senior year. And an All-American linebacker, as you said, and incredible time. And in 2007, like you mentioned, a picture taken of me after this mud bowl of a game.
It was, yes.
In Savannah, Tennessee, on a high school field that had they had new sod on it, but it didn't drain. So there was water.
Right.
And it made for this incredible opportunity to go slide down the middle of the field with my buddy Zach, and there just happened to be an Associated Press photographer there, and clicked this picture, and next thing you know, I'm talking to Sports Illustrated, and they put it on the cover of the Year in Pictures edition in 2007.
Yes.
Wild experience for a very small town, unassuming program and person.
Sure.
that kind of really, psychologically and otherwise was a really intense transition into something that I was not familiar with.
Right.
So I had my 15 seconds of fame there. It was a defining moment for sure.
Sure.
But along with all that, as my football career ends, I had no desire to go try to play professionally.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I dealt with chronic pain throughout my entire career.
Really?
I had bad knees. And I'm using air quotes here for anybody that's just listening, because those are myths.
Right.
Those are cop-outs. We'll get into it in a second. But I had bad knees. I had bad ankles. I had, 8 ankle sprains on the right and 10 on the left throughout high school and college, football, basketball, and otherwise. And I just dealt with pain all the time. I took some pretty big hits to the head. And I still, for many years after, dealt with chronic neck pain, chronic low back pain. The pain was everywhere, and it moved around, and it was very frustrating.
Yes.
And that really, I took a few years off of football afterward. I produced independent films for a while. I was an actor for a short period, which is it was a nice little sojourn into something that is wholly unique and
right. Mm-hmm.
But I made my way back to athletics and health and fitness because of my own chronic pain.
Yeah.
I reached a point when I was living in Los Angeles with my producing partners and trying to make it in the film industry, where I woke up and I was I was in so much pain, and my mental health was just in the dumps. And I was sleeping on a deflated air mattress, and I couldn't afford a pack of cigarettes.
Right.
Which most people that know me now, they're like, cigarettes?
Really?
Yeah, it's a very dark time in my life.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. But at that moment, I decided to change things. And it really was the impetus for the journey that I've been on, since that point, which is a journey back to health. I even named my first business Odyssey Health, because it felt like this epic journey that I had to go on. And
you are so right. Yes.
And it took many twists and turns, and there was ups and downs. And again, I didn't follow any traditional or formal path. All my education was kind of self-taught or through private companies and certifications. And along that path, I eventually went back and did get a master's degree in kinesiology and focused on corrective exercise, because when I was working as a personal trainer early on, I was presented with this person that was new to the gym, and he had just been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And I was terrified. And I said to my manager, I can't take this person. I'm going to screw him up worse or something. And he, wonderful mentor that he was, said, you'll be fine. Go do it. Mm-hmm. You will help this person get in shape. That's all you have to do.
Part of that odyssey, right? Face it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I so loved working with him, and we got great results for him, got him to cut his medication in half, and he got back to his job. It was amazing. That's what really sent me down the path of learning everything I could, along with trying to heal myself to help other people.
Yes.
I went back, got a master's degree, and I did all of the traditional methods. I worked in physical therapy for many years, helping people to move better, helping people with their below the neck, as we in the neuro world call it, below the neck type training.
Right.
And there's value there, and it's wonderful, but I still felt there was pieces missing. I still was dealing with a lot of chronic pain, and it wasn't fixing things for me.
Gotcha.
Then I stumbled into the world of applied neurology.
Okay.
And I was very curious about brains anyway, because I dealt with a ton of head injuries.
Yeah.
And I feel something changing in my brain over time, and I did not like it.
Yeah.
And so I became very curious, and I started studying all these different things, like picking up neuroscience textbooks and like trying to figure them out.
Yep.
I was a super nerd, right?
Thank goodness.
Yeah, and stumbled upon this serendipitously, came into contact with this private company teaching applied neurology to anyone, to coaches, trainers, chiros, PTs,
Nice.
MDs, osteopaths, anybody that wants to learn how the brain works and how to intentionally train the nervous system
Love
through
it.
the input systems of the body for pain and performance.
Sure.
They teach it to anybody, and they were just starting their first inaugural mentorship, year-long mentorship, where they go through all this. And I say serendipitously, that's not even a word. Serendipitously.
I don't know. Good. You're doing better than I would.
Met them at my brother's wedding. He married a neurotrainer, as we sometimes call ourselves.
Wow.
And she was kind of a mentee of theirs.
Yeah.
I was officiating the wedding, and they came to stream it to the family in Germany that couldn't come over because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
So I met them. They said, "Hey, we're doing this mentorship thing. You might be a good fit. You want to try it? It starts next week." I said, "Yep, that sounds great." So again, God, the universe, whoever, put those opportunities in your path when you're ready for them. And
absolutely.
That's what really turned the corner for me. Within a few weeks of practicing applied neurology tools and techniques, my chronic pain was gone.
Amazing.
And
I believe you. I do. And I'm so glad you're on to talk about this, please. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm so glad that you're on to talk about this, because I do believe this is the key to many of our disease processes, with inflammation and all. So please continue. I'm just honored. Wonderful.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I am 100% in agreement with that. I know I'm biased because of how it's worked for me. And I mean, I teach applied neurology. Like, my world is all,
who better to listen to, though, right? So
brains and nervous systems. And the reason I find it so appealing is because the nervous system is the governing system of all the systems of the body.
Okay.
Every change that happens in our life, everything we are and everything we will become, is because of changes in your brain and your nervous system first. That includes all chronic pain, all autoimmune diseases, all inflammation, everything.
Agree.
It's all regulated by the nervous system. So if we can tap into that nervous system, then we hold the key to unlock all things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I've seen it work.
Right.
When nothing else does. And it's not the only thing, but it is an integral part of anyone's healing journey or performance journey,
Right. And the piece that's missing, I think, because we go down so many contemporary roads of medicine with, medications and procedures, like you say, and the physical therapies and all, which are wonderful and have their place. But I think this is the key that's missing for people, because almost every person, when you say chronic pain, you mean chronic. And that means it's been going on a very long time without successful treatment. And so if you are looking for something, the missing piece, which most all chronic pain people, I'm a chronic pain, player too. And so that is, in my mind now, the missing piece that even I, as a physician, have been missing. So happy and wonderful to bring this to people to understand that tie. And I think this link needs to be made for people to move forward if they're going to get better. Absolutely.
Yes, 100% agree. And there's many examples we could point to. One that comes to mind, and it comes to mind because it's top of mind at this moment in my life and in my business.
Sure.
I work a lot with athletes, and we were kind of talking before we jumped on about, what does that actually mean? Because most people kind of assume working neurotraining brains with athletes, they assume I mean like high level elite athletes at the professional level.
Correct.
And while yes, I do sometimes work with them, they are the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah. Right.
The majority of my work is with everyday athletes, what I call lifelong athletes.
Yeah.
That were competitive athletes in the past, and maybe they still are in an amateur fashion.
Sure.
But they mainly have what I refer to as the athletic mindset, which is they want to be the best version of themselves. They compete with themselves, and they're always looking for an edge. And oftentimes they are dealing with chronic pain.
Absolutely.
And it's my definition of chronic pain. It's not different per se, but I like to kind of give it more of a broad stroke. And I mentioned that chronic pain can be any pain that has been around, even intermittently. It doesn't have to be every day, all the time, for 3 months or longer.
Right.
Like that's more than enough time for the tissues and the structures to heal.
Correct.
So for you to have that pain, let's use neck pain, for example. Let's say because I see it quite often.
As do I. Yep.
With high level, well, not high level, but athletes that play a fast, ballistic, violent sport.
Right.
Football, hockey, lacrosse, even soccer.
Sure.
You can get whiplash and develop CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, as I'm sure you are familiar with, by riding a jet ski.
Yes, that's true. It is. Because the brain's mobile inside the skull. It's not fixed to the skull. So as your head jars around, your brain moves around inside and hits the side of your skull. So it's trauma, right? So just
exactly. So the perception that it only happens to NFL football players or something like that is just not true, and it's a dangerous myth that is kind of it's not perpetuated, but it's just kind of assumed a lot of the time. So I like to help educate that this can happen to anyone, and it happens all the time. It doesn't have to develop into full-on CTE, but it can show up in various ways that are kind of insidious. Yeah. And chronic pain is one of those ways.
Right.
So let's take the neck pain, chronic neck pain, that they've tried the physical therapy, they've tried the chiropractic, and they've done the massages and acupuncture, and all these things are helpful for a time, but it keeps coming back.
Absolutely.
From a neurological lens, well, number one, that's 100% neurological at that point. The tissues are no longer a problem. Unless you have a herniated disc that's like physically pressing on the nerve, there should be no reason to have pain. So then we have to have this discussion around what is pain and how does pain actually happen. And the short, simple, and sweet definition of pain is that pain is 100% of the time an output from your brain. It has very little to do with the structure of your body. What happens is your brain is constantly scanning your environment, internal and external, for threats. Because really its only job is to keep you alive.
Right.
So survival is its number one priority. Number two is movement, by the way. It's built for movement. So not moving can be a threat. Right. So our brain takes in all this information through all of the input systems, the sensory systems of the body. You got your big five senses, sight, touch, hearing, tasting,
smell.
Thank you. And then we're going to add a 6 on there, which is balance.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes
balance
sense.
may be one of the most important senses that we have.
Absolutely.
Our brain takes in all this information through all the senses, and also what's going on in our internal environment. That's called interoception.
Right.
Okay. And then it has to interpret all those signals, and then based on the perception of what's going on and what they mean, it will give you an output. Okay. This is the loop. It's always happening all the time.
Correct.
So if the inputs are perceived as threats to our survival, we will get protective or survival-based outputs.
Exactly.
And that's the brain slowing us down. That's the brain restricting our movement. That's the brain widening our stance and having us look down at the ground so we don't fall.
Correct.
That's the brain giving us pain to say, hey, wake up.
Something's wrong.
You need to change it.
Right.
Or stop doing what you're doing.
Right.
So most of our modalities for pain are focusing on the output. They're focusing on the symptom.
Absolutely.
It's the pain. Let me give you a trigger point injection. Let's do some massage on that area. Let's do some therapy.
Correct.
Let's crack your back a little bit, right?
Correct.
And those can be helpful for a short time because they give new inputs, but they're not really taking away the largest perceived threat that is leading to that. And for that, we have to look at all of the sensory systems.
Right.
The body, your entire body, it's called the proprioceptive system. Your skin, your muscles, your joints, they all give information through your nerves to your brain about what's going on in my body and where am I at in space. Okay? That's only about 10 million signals. Only 10 million.
Only 10 million.
Every moment that you're getting.
Exactly. Yes.
In comparison, though, your vestibular system, your inner ear, which is like the inner balancing system, is always telling your brain, where am I at relative to gravity and which way am I going? Okay, that's by the way, it's about the size of your pinky nail on each side, right behind your eyes in your inner ear. Very small.
Very small.
To the rest of your body.
Very important. Yes.
But they're sending about 2 million signals per second on each side. So relatively very powerful input system. And then at the top of the hierarchy, at the big dog of them all, your eyes. Your eyes are sending about 150 million signals, by some estimates, each eye every moment.
Yep.
The power and the opportunity that is coming through your eyes to change your level of threat that's perceived by your brain is immense.
Right.
And nobody outside of the applied neuro world or neurooptometry or at the highest levels of sports performance are looking at this.
Absolutely.
And it's just like
devastating to people. It's crippling. It's crippling.
Yeah. And when it comes to chronic pain, if we use that neck pain example, let's say that my eyes and my inner ear are just a little bit off balance, and maybe my eyes are not moving as well as they should. They're not moving together as well as they should. I can see clearly. I got 20/20 vision with my contacts in. I can see fine.
Sure.
But they don't move well together. So that's going to create a situation where my brain now has to work harder to process what I'm seeing in the world. And if my inner ear is not communicating well with that visual system, because they work intimately together, then I'm going to create a situation where my brain is perceiving threat from these systems, and they're very powerful. And so because my eyes can feel a little pain, they can feel tired, they can feel dry, right?
Yeah.
Sure, my inner ear doesn't feel anything. So if your brain is always going to do what it has to do to get you to a place where you're protected, safe, and you will survive, its most efficient method to do that is to give you signals in your body to slow down or change. So when it comes to the eyes, the inner ear, the easiest and most efficient signals that it can send are, okay, let's lock down this neck so you can't move, because if you move too fast,
you'll knock that off.
Or like in the case of chronic pain, there's usually an initial incident, a trauma, we might say. For me, I'll use myself as an example in this one because chronic pain in my neck is a thing. And I got hit in the head in a football game right on the top, and it really kind of collapsed the right side of my vertebrae. Created some bulging discs, and there was a lot of pain there. Everything healed. I didn't need surgery. Everything's fine. I still have bulging discs, but depending on how old you are, there's like a 50 to 85% chance that you got bulging discs.
This is correct. Yes.
in your back.
Just aging will do it. Yes.
Yeah. And it does not mean that you have pain.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So that pain, when you have pain, it creates what's called a neurotag in your brain, which is like a signature or a fingerprint of this activation pattern that when it's triggered, the brain then sends pain to that area. And really, it lives in the maps in your brain. It doesn't actually go to my neck, right? Mm-hmm. It's a perception in my brain. Now that pathway has been used, and if it's been used enough, it starts to get thicker, and it gets this protective sheath around it, which makes it faster. It's called myelin. It's like this fatty tissue that goes around neural pathways to make them faster and more efficient.
Insulation. That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So the brain is a conservation machine. It wants to use as little energy as needed to get the job done. So in this case, I got all this threat coming from my eyes and my inner ear. The easiest thing for my brain to do to get my attention to say, hey, you need to change what's going on up here, fix this problem. It's easiest to give me neck pain to just as a signal. It's like a check engine light, like, hey, pay attention. Something's off.
Something's off. Mm-hmm.
If we want to change that signal, we got to give the brain new and better inputs that make it feel safe in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
We need to retrain those systems so they're back in balance and they're communicating and integrating together optimally. Then the brain no longer needs to choose pain as an output.
Correct.
That's the easy, simple version of how neurology can really help with chronic pain.
Yes. Which is amazing because I often use this example in psychology too, because the, hope and gratitude and surviving trauma and depression and anxiety and things like that works on the absolute same level as that. It's input that the brain gives to the rest of the body, trying to tell you something's wrong. You have to reprogram that neurological system to think correctly and feel correctly the same way you do with chronic pain. We call it neuroplasticity, right? So because you have this ever-changing, it's a system that changes. It can grow. It can be stunted. It can be shut down, but it can also grow and change and develop even into our later years. We've always assumed that once brain tissue dies or is injured and dies, that it's dead. There's nothing more that can be done. And that's absolutely not true. We have found that we can regenerate the brain. We can regenerate nerve pathways. We can regenerate function. And it may not be exactly the same as it was in cases of stroke or, things like that, but we can, and we call that neuroplasticity. And I think that's what you were making that, connection with, is that pain and teaching the brain to, to not send those signals of pain is just that neuroplasticity, change in the way it sends its signals, correct?
Neuroplasticity is how all of it works, yes.
Right.
And the nervous system and the brain are the most plastic systems of the body.
Correct.
Which is why it works faster than any other type of training or rehab that you do. The neuroplasticity works both ways, though. So in the case of pain, it's maladaptive neuroplasticity.
Absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So we have to unlearn that. And the brain does work in a use it or lose it fashion.
Absolutely.
So if you continue to experience pain, that pathway gets stronger.
Yes.
But the more you help your brain choose something different, you can atrophy that neural pathway until it's essentially gone and you've strengthened other pathways.
Thank you.
That's neuroplasticity in action, 100%. Now, one thing that you mentioned, I do want to chime in on because it's a really powerful and important teaching moment for a lot of my chronic pain clients.
Right.
And it's the idea of mindset training for pain.
Right.
And I'm not going to debunk it because it's powerful and it's useful, but only when the brain is in a state of openness and safety.
Yes.
Here's the saying that I always use. You cannot mindset your way out of survival.
Mm-hmm.
Your survival centers of your brain, the emotional brain, the back bottom part of the brain, the limbic system, the brain stem, they do not understand language.
Correct.
They don't.
Very archaic. That's what exists in frogs. That's not, right?
Yeah,
and not the upper animal system.
Exactly right. And here's the way I always describe it, because this really hits home, is I call it the baby brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I got 3 of them out there, triplets.
Yeah, I read that.
One here in 2 weeks. Yeah. So I am head deep in baby brain right now. I think it's a really useful analogy, even for people that aren't parents, because you've seen babies. You see that they don't have a fully functioning brain yet. They don't understand language. They can't talk. They don't know what's going on. And when they start to fuss or cry or get worked up, you can't tell a baby to calm down, right?
Correct.
You're fine. Just relax.
Even though that's all we do.
Oh, yeah. Of course you do. I still do it too.
Yeah, of course.
At the same time, I understand that to soothe a baby, what do you do?
Yeah. The basics. Give them what they need.
Yeah.
What they're missing.
And everybody knows this intuitively. So if you were to tell me, Dr. P, what would you do with a baby that was crying?
Are they hungry? Are they sleepy? Are they in pain? Are they needing their diaper changed? Just the basics. What do they
go through that little check.
Sure.
So limbic escape is just the emotional brain kind of running amok. And what usually should be happening is this big cortex, this big, nice frontal lobe, where we have all our language, all our decision making, all our logic and rational thought.
Correct. That
usually is inhibiting that part of the brain, kind of keeping it on the leash, so to speak, so that we don't, so I don't, reach across the table and punch my friend when he takes my donut. You know what I mean?
Right. It's control.
It's control. It's the leash on that limbic system.
Yeah.
When we're in survival, that limbic system can just run away.
Absolutely.
Break the leash and it's running amok. That's called limbic escape.
Yeah, absolutely.
The term that's often used is amygdala hijacking.
There you go.
Center of the brain. It's like everything becomes a threat and we're afraid of everything. And
absolutely.
In these states, pain tends to go up.
Right.
Because our threat level, our perception of threat goes up. Okay?
Absolutely.
In those states, it is almost impossible to talk someone down. You have to help them from a bottom-up perspective to get that baby brain to feel safe in their environment, whatever it takes. Okay. This is where some things like EMDR are helpful at times,
right? Because
they're using eye movements or tapping or some kind of sensory system to make the brain feel more safe. And then they do the top-down mindset coaching.
There you go. Very nice explanation. Thank you. Yeah.
We got to come at it from both angles.
Yes, you do. Gosh, that's great. And so, and I'm glad you mentioned EMDR therapy because, and I want to talk about that in a minute, but I tell you, something you said triggered me to wonder then, is this why many people this is a curveball, sorry, but many people who have a history of psychological trauma have a lot of autoimmune disorders that can't be defined. I mean, we can't really place a name. Fibromyalgia is one that many, question, but it's real. But I think that happens in a lot of people with psychological trauma. And it's that safety that they're not experiencing. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And from a neurological perspective, most of those autoimmune conditions are,
I believe this,
manifestations of threat, which can come from psychological or emotional trauma that hasn't been processed.
Absolutely.
Now showing up because the nervous system and brain are just confused. They don't know how to get your attention and to change what needs to be changed.
Right.
It's gone for long enough that it just becomes like this widespread pain, like fibromyalgia.
Oh my goodness. What a light bulb moment. That is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, and I would love to continue on this. We need to take a very short break. I've got a great sponsor that talks a little bit about how to help this from a nutritional aspect. So we're going to take a short break, but please, how can people find you? Tell us where you can be found.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. I spend a pretty good amount of time teaching and sharing content on there at I am Brandon Day, all one word. But the real magic happens in my communities, and they're hosted on the platform called School. If you go to school.com/evolved, you'll find my free community. It's free to join. There are tons of resources and a really stellar group of people in there, athletes and people who have the athletic mindset, right?
Yeah.
Walks of life that are, trying to beat pain and become their best version through all of this applied neurology, all my other background in teachings in fitness and exercise, and through flow state coaching, which is also a big part of what I do. So
very good. And that's it's SKOOL. So correct. Yeah, for School. So just keep that in mind. This will be on my website. So drpbetterlife.com with, he'll be highlighted there with that great photo from Sports Illustrated and all. I'm going to tease you about that incessantly. And and I'll have all your information about where you can be found, Instagram and your community there in School. So we will take a very short break. Be right back and talk a little bit more.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is De Novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes De Novo Plus B12 so successful? De Novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about De Novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
Welcome back, Brandon Day. Oh my goodness, we are learning so much about chronic pain today. What I love, though, and I'll say, is I think we are learning more about chronic pain and a solution, a pathway to a solution, at least, more than anything I've heard in a long time. Thank you. This is really, really eye-opening and beautiful. So I think this needs to be heard. So we've talked a lot about the biology and the physiologic aspects of all this. And so tell us what you do and kind of your treatment. How do you get then to a solution, get this taken care of?
Yeah, great question. So it usually starts, as anything, with a good history and assessment process. And in the neuro world, as in, I'm sure like your medical practice, you want to be as detailed as we can. I want to know everything about everything.
Wonderful.
Because when we talk about the nervous system, because of the way that the loop works, and we know that everything starts in the brain and it's all outputs. And in the case of pain, it's all an output from the brain. That means that anything can affect anything.
Absolutely.
And I mean that 100%. And one thing that's really helpful is like this concept of opposing joints. So let's say I have somebody that comes in with chronic shoulder pain. And it's like maybe they had an injury 20 years ago. But it just keeps like they sleep on it wrong, or they're a recreational softball player, and it's like it gets sometimes, whatever the case may be. And I can go at that. And let's say they come in and it's like really sore right now, and it hurts when they move it around. I don't necessarily want to go right and work at that area. I might just aggravate it, right?
Right.
Because the nervous system, anything can affect anything. Because of how our gait mechanics work. We're contralateral, bipedal human beings. As I move one leg, the opposite arm moves. The nervous system connects those things and helps those move because you don't have to think about that, right?
Absolutely.
I don't have to think moving my limbs when I walk. I just walk. Okay.
Right.
So we can call them like spinal cord reflexes if we want. They're technically called central pattern generators that just make them move. No brain necessary for that. You just tell it to move, it starts, it keeps going. So because of how that all works and because of how force is transferred from the ground through the body, there's a connection between the opposing limbs. So if I take that right shoulder pain, I can go to that left hip. I can move that hip around in specific ways, get some better proprioceptive mapping of that area, reduce the overall level of threat in the brain, and magically that shoulder has no more pain. This one concept works to drop pain by 40 to 50% on average.
Wow.
The first time you do it.
I would take it. Yeah, 40 to 50% decrease. Give it away. That's great. Yeah.
It's one of those like magic moments.
Yeah, I'll bet.
They're calling you a wizard.
I'll bet.
But I want to take, back to your original question. I want to understand a good history of all the injuries they've had, of all the illnesses they've had, of even the emotional events that were very heavy. You know, I want to make connections in time to this pain.
Yes.
An example here is we could go back to neck pain. Let's use low back pain on this. Another big one, yeah. And let's say that through their history, I discover that this low back pain happened, not right after, but a few months after they had a car accident. And they had some whiplash in that accident, but they didn't hurt their back. They always say that, right?
Right.
Then I get into some other assessments, and I start to look at their vestibular function and their visual system. And there's a simple test that we can do to look at how their eyes move called an eye circle. They just follow a target in a circle, and I can see, are there areas of that circle where their eyes are not moving nice and smooth like they should be. And this has happened to me numerous times. It's just fascinating every time I see it.
Wow.
Sometimes when they get up to this upper right part of the circle, the eyes glitch out a little and then like skip over it or something. And then almost 100% of the time, when I then dig a little deeper and I ask them about this car accident, I say, how'd you get hit? And like, oh, I was stopped at a red light and then I got rear-ended by this truck.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't hurt my back. Didn't hurt your back. And then I asked this follow-up question. Did you happen to see the truck coming? And like, yeah, actually, I looked up into the rearview mirror and boom, I got smacked.
Yeah.
From that moment on, every time they looked up and to the right, as if it was the rearview mirror, their brain goes, "Oh, threat! We're gonna get hit."
That makes sense.
The brain just stopped doing that.
Wow.
It said, "Okay, we just won't look up there anymore." So whenever they needed to look up there, either like in this eye circle, they would skip over that part. I'm just going to skip that whole part. I don't like it. Or if they need to look up there, they would instead turn their head.
Wow.
Now, if you're always turning your head, that's going to lead to maybe a muscle imbalance in your neck.
With consistency. You see this with consistency.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
It's amazing. That's clinical. That's very real. That's very real.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
amazing. Wow.
If we know that, okay, all that, and then I know that there is a somewhat connection in time between the back pain and this head injury.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in their words, no head injury, no back pain.
No
But
back
I
pain.
had some
No back injury.
and now
Yeah.
this eye dysfunction.
Mhm.
If we can then train the eyes to go back there and the brain to then feel safe, we've now remapped that area, we've reintegrated it, then, oh, wow, that back pain just kind of just went away.
Absolutely.
Magic.
Absolutely.
But no.
That
Just
retraining. And that is so important people understand, because I know there will be some who hear that and think, that doesn't really sound, doesn't really sound right. But it really does. There is that associations that brain makes, and that retraining can do that. That's amazing. Wow. So you spend time with people on this. What is your program like?
So I work with people in a few different ways. I have a free community that's amazing. Right. I show up there and just hang out with people once a week online. I have a subscriber only community where I show up and coach on applied neurology, mindset coaching, flow state coaching.
Nice.
And athletic performance, 3 hours a week. And I walk people through what I call the evolved athlete method. Mm-hmm. And it essentially is going to take somebody from where you're at right now, which is usually in some kind of pain, whether that be just plateaued and experiencing anxiety and performance blocks, cognitive or physical, or you're in actual physical pain, chronic pain, conditions from just musculoskeletal type stuff that is chronic, like an old shoulder injury that keeps coming back or something, all the way to like pretty intense chronic regional pain, syndrome, fibro, autoimmune, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I kind of put them all under the banner of both. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we take somebody from where they're at, plateaued, stuck, pain, to their peak performance state, which is defined in my world as consistent access to flow states. Okay. And, whatever physical goals you may bring up. Mm-hmm. And that pathway, it's anywhere from 12 weeks to 6 months, depending on when he starts. But we walk through each of these big pillars of positive psychology, applied neurology, and your general fitness, nutrition, metabolic health type
nice
ways, type pillars to walk through.
Good.
And then in there, once we kind of set a solid foundation, first we got to get you out of pain. Then I call it build a better athlete. So we break you down from the bottom and build you up with a neurological foundation of a really big capacity, a big bucket. So we've got a lot to work with. And in that is all of the positive psychology basics like sleep, fitness and exercise, nutrition, hydration, mindfulness, gratitude, and social connection.
The whole thing. Mm-hmm.
The last thing I put in there is hygiene.
Oh.
You do hygiene for your body. You brush and floss your teeth. You need to brush and floss your brain. Mm-hmm. And there's simple neuro tools that you can do for that.
Nice.
Once we set that solid foundation, we get you out of pain. Then we build a superhuman flow state coaching and advanced training techniques.
Nice.
So the group program is kind of like you do it on your own time and you show up and support every week from the community and from myself. And then of course, for my VIP clients that I work with one-on-one, do all that. We just do it a lot faster.
Nice. That is really wonderful. So good. So we've covered so much, and thank you. This has been 50 minutes. It's just blown by, but this is absolutely so important. Thank you. Again, let us hear, where can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, again, I'm on Instagram at IamBrandonDay. And you can find me on school at school.com/evolved. I'm running a workshop at the end of the month. It's all about vision training.
Good.
I call it Vision Evolved. That's kind of the whole idea behind Evolved Athlete is building something new and better in all ways. Those are the best ways to find me. Those are where I'm at the most.
All right. And they will be on the website for me for drpbetterlife.com. And this is probably one of my best shows, Brandon. Thank you. I love it. I appreciate you coming on. This is great information. I think it's very useful. And everybody has that little athletic mind inside them somewhere, I believe. And really, a lot of people very motivated, want to get better, and don't want to go. And what I love is the main thing that I love, kind of a takeaway here, is for the deep history that you take on people. There, there's so many things now where you just run through a little checklist and you get your little package in the mail and you do your own work. But there's very little these days of people who are actually listening and working with people at ground zero where they need it. So I applaud that. Thank you. That's what's missing in our world today. So thank you for doing that. And I hope everybody will reach out. Is there a final word? Is there any thoughts that you want to leave with us now that we missed?
I guess the last thing I would say is that the biggest thing that has helped me in my life and my career is to really find yourself a place where you can be totally engrossed, but also surrender to the flow of life.
Nice.
What the crux of all of what I do is about is finding presence in the moment. And why I teach so much about flow states, because it is the ultimate state of presence that most athletes really understand in their sport. But if we can carry that over to the rest of our lives, then our outcomes take care of themselves.
Yeah, that is so true. I'll tell you very, very briefly. I had the opportunity to be an astronaut. So I was going to join the military. Yeah, I'm kind of a speed demon. So I had the opportunity to join the military and fly jets and whatnot. And I tell you, there's nothing more adrenaline surging than being one with your cockpit, being one with your car, being one with the road that you're running on. And that's the flow state. That is what you're talking about. And many, many people have that and don't understand it and need to, because you are very right. This is the focus and the flow of life, being present in the moment. Beautiful words. You're a very, very intelligent person and you've got a great talent. And I'm glad you're sharing it with everyone. Thank you. So everybody, you can find all of this information, drpbetterlife.com. I hope everybody has a wonderful week and you've been as touched as I have by this. Thank you.
You've been enjoying The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. For more information, go to drpthebetterlife.com. That's drpthebetterlife.com. And listen next week for The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.